Good morning. Happy Friday. It's coffee and the card. Keep it simple and life is good. Got my coffee mug, got my shirt. I'm ready to go. Are you? Okay. I'm happy to be here with you today. Last week was we had Pride for Troops, and I had a friend, one of my downlines, Elizabeth, come visit me, and we had a very nice gathering, about 6 of us making cards. And then we went out to lunch with some of the downline girls. So that was a lot of fun. And Elizabeth was so sweet. She spent the night with me before because she had over a 3-hour trip to get here. And we got to know each other. So that was great. So Elizabeth, thank you for making the trip up. It was great. I'm using a mug that she gave me. She brought me some gifts from her home county and some quaint little things. She knows the pottery maker who does this beautiful work, and it's got a little crab on it there. See, little Maryland blue crab. I love it. So she said, here's a mug for your coffee and a card. So cheers to you. I have my coffee. I've got my new mug, and I have a card for you today too. Right? Good thing. Nice to see you all on here today. Some of my regular gals. I'm happy to see you on here, Nadine, Tiva, Debbie. All right. So I'm going to show you a card using Spotlight on Nature. Okay, this beautiful new stamp set in the new annual catalog. And the coordinating dies that come with it, excuse me, don't cut out these images. It is totally, it could be a standalone die set, and you can use it with anything. It is these circle dies. Aren't they cool? They have all these beautiful designs on them. Some have ridges. I could be like Romper Room. Hello. Okay, some have ridges on them, all different sizes. Some have this beautiful, let me hold it over here, beautiful floral little eyelet print on it that coordinates with some of the eyelet paper, actually. And some have this dotted line, dots and dashes, kind of a pattern on the back of them. There are 12 dies, 12 circles that, and here are 2 more. Okay, 12 circles that you can use, various sizes and patterns. So you have 4 of each. Okay, 4 of the eyelet pattern, 4 of the dotted lines, and 4 of the ridged, like radiating lines there. So lot of options there. And so I found a card that I liked. I'm casing from a German demonstrator. I found her card and I said, oh, this is really pretty. A way to show off the new colors, and also this beautiful stamp set, the dies and the stamp set. And so I said, oh, that looks really nice. I'm going to do that today. And then I realized that the flowers, I'm going to do it. The flowers here were cut out. I said, oh, good, I'll get that die. And then I remembered, wait a minute, these don't have dies. So the flowers were fussy cut. So if you don't like fussy cut, I'm going to show you another little option that you can do with this. So we are actually I'm going to do a little fussy cutting of this little pattern there. Like I said, there'll be options. I'm going to do some in a couple of different colors, and we can compare and contrast, see which ones we like. I like doing that, like keeping a monochromatic card, but then doing it in a variety of colors. It gives you options. It also makes a nice little gift set if you're ever giving, like if I go to somebody's house for dinner, I'll bring them a little hostess gift, sometimes a bottle of wine, sometimes a stack of cards. They love it. Where else can they get that? Very unique, right? They don't have that. And they are consumable. At my age, we're looking for consumable, right, ladies? We don't need any more clutter, any more things. I don't need collectibles anymore and whatever, except collecting stamp sets. And that's a different story. But those are things I'm using, right? I'm using them constantly. They're not just sitting on the shelf there and collecting dust and whatever. I'm using them. It's all good. All right. All right. Thinking here, which color should I do? I'm going to use the Petunia Pop. All right, I'm going to use Petunia Pop today. So good morning, everybody. If you're just joining on, yes, Nadine, there is always room for one more steps. There definitely is. And sometimes I gift away my old ones. I haven't gotten into selling them. I know people do that, sell it on eBay or Amazon or Facebook thing or whatever. I don't know. I just haven't been that organized to do that. And sometimes it's hard to let go of my babies. And, like, oh no, I like that one. Or maybe someday I'll use it. I'm not good at letting things go. I've got a whole closet of clothes that I have to purge through, but that's another story. Another story. Anyway, so again, good morning, Joanne. Oh, we have a couple, Joanne and Joanna. Nice to see you. All right, great. For Arizona, we have Washington State. Hi, Joan. Nice to see you again. And Mary again. Great. Betty, hello. All right, so I'm going to use the Petunia Pop. Let me get my other camera up here, and we'll switch it down so that we can see what we're using. Petunia Pop. And our card base is going to be Petunia Pop. And we are using the 24-26 in color designer paper. It comes 6x6, and you have 4 different patterns. I'll show you in this. You have the leaves and flowers. You have this. I don't even know what to call this. It's kind of like a tile look. Whatever. It's pretty. I like it. Very delicate. And then on the back, you have some lines and you have some dotted circles. So we'll use that in the Petunia Pop. We need 3 strips. So we are going to use the ones that are a little more subtle. So the stripes, the dots, and then this little tile looking one. I don't know what else to call it. Anybody have an idea what to call this pattern? If you have an idea, let me know. Hi, Paula from Quebec. Nice to see you. Annette Jabag, good to see you too. Cynthia, nice to see you on today from Indiana. Thanks so much. All right, so here we go. We're going to use those because I think this pattern is a little too busy for what we're doing and would compete with this, right? So we're just going to be using some strips. That's one of the fun things I like to do with my backgrounds. If you saw my live on Monday, then you saw me use some strips in some of my cards, and it's a great way to use up your scraps. All right, so what I'm going to score my card base. Well, it is scored already. So we have 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, our typical card size. A mosaic, maybe, Nadine, maybe. I think of mosaic as, well, it could be a regular pattern, but sometimes I think of it as just little pieces of things putting together to make a bigger image, but it could be more of just a graphic pattern. That's an idea. All right. Hi, Lydia. You made it on. Okay. Thank you. Lydia's in my downline. Nice to see you. All right. Now we need a piece of white that is going to be here we go. Let me just double check here. 3.5 by 4 3/4. 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm actually cutting. I keep these, a package of these next to my work table here that are 4 by 5 1/4. Just because that's a typical layer that I often use. So if I'm just taking one of those, I'm going to cut it down 1/2 inch. Okay, so 3.5 by 4 3/4. Right, so that's going to give us a little bit bigger border around the front of your card base. All right, so it's the same proportion of that we use. Just both sides are cut down that 1/2 inch, so we're going to have that bigger border there. And then we need our strips of the DSP, and they are going to be 1 inch. I'll cut that. I want the stripes to be vertical. All right, so 1 inch by, just checking here, 4.5. And that's going to help to form my background for the white layer. Right. Yes, I will save this little piece. I have, as you know, I have my little clear envelope of my little scraps, you know, and if I have a bunch of those, they can make an interesting looking card, right? Oh yeah. It could be a border. We can have those things going across, right? It could be a fun card. Don't underestimate your little scraps. I have to talk myself into throwing some away at some, like some of the little 1/2 inch white strips. I've got a ton of those. I don't need to save those anymore. All right, so there's our 1 by, what did I say, 3.5, 4.5, 1 by 4.5. All right, then this one I'm using both sides. So I am going to keep this simple. I'm just going to cut 2 inches first. And then I'm going to cut my 4.5 because that gives me a little bit bigger scrap now to use on something else. And then I'll cut it down to 1 inch widths. Does that make sense? Sorry if I just confused you, but my mind thinks that way sometimes. Okay, so I like to put this lighter one in the middle. It just looks more balanced to me than if I were to do it this way. Can you see what I mean? All right, so it's a little bit more balanced with the darker backgrounds on the outside and then the one with the lighter one on the inside. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue those together. And I'm sorry I didn't get you any of these measurements ahead of time to craft along today, but I was away for a couple of days. Took a trip with my husband and I took a little trip with another couple to Southern Maryland. Those of you who are sort of local here might have heard of St. Mary's City and Solomon Island. So that's where we went. It's sort of along the coast and very historic kind of place. St. Mary's City was a colonial city, so it's not city as how we might know the city. But my friend's daughter went to college at St. Mary's down there, and there are museums, and they're right by the coast, and just very beautiful. We had a very nice day. So we took a little 2-day trip and an overnight, and we also visited a winery. We went out to lunch and dinner at a couple of nice places, and we drove to a lighthouse, and we picnicked, and it was a lovely day, lovely 2 days. So I knew I was going to be on. Actually, there was a chance that we might have stayed another night, and I would have had to postpone our card making today for later or tomorrow, but we didn't stay the extra day. It was just right. We had enough. And so that's why I didn't get out measurements for you, but I will put measurements in for you when I put a post up of the card, the finished cards. Okay. All right. So just one more time, our white piece is 3.5 by 4 3/4, and the strips are 1 inch by 4.5. All right. So next, I'm going to be using one of these dies, like I showed you in the beginning. from the Spotlight on Nature. And like I said, if you don't have or don't feel you need this stamp set, this is still a very valuable die set, and you can buy them separately. If you get them together as a bundle, you'll save 10% on the total. All right. So Stampin' Up! Does that a lot when a stamp set first comes out. The second year, they're not available as a bundle anymore. You have to get them separately. But I highly suggest. You're going to love these. Very, very fun for masculine cards, for serious cards, for fun cards. It works for a lot of different things. Let me put my scraps back away so I don't lose things. I'm famous for that if I don't put things away. Okay, does anybody have this set or bundle or dies? Okay, what do you have? Do you have it? Do you love it? Is it on your wish list? Tell me. Nadine asked which circle it was. I can show you here. I arrange these. Well, okay, I put these on my magnet card so they. But when you get them, they come on 2 different sheets. All right, and they're sort of mixed and matched. So anyway, let me put it this way. I used the middle size of that one with a pattern. So I think that's the way I could show you. All right, so the ones with so it kind of reminds you of Morse code, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash. So out of the 3 that have that pattern, I use the smallest one. If you don't have this die set and you want to know the size of it, the finished cut circle is, I'm measuring on my grid paper. I love the grid paper for that. It's about 2 3/4 diameter. Okay, so that's the size, that 2 3/4 circle. So use other circle dies that you like, or scallop circles or whatever. Right, it's all good. Okay, so when I put this on my magnet card, I can fit these concentrically. I die cut this. There's still some little pieces in there. So you can use, we have a little brush that you can go through and it pops those out, or you can use take your pick tool. I put these, so I have most of the radiating lines stitching on these, and most of the other ones over here. But this one just doesn't fit and stay in the envelope, so I just keeping that one loose and then fitting it back in the envelope. Okay, so we're going to glue this down. This isn't such an easy card. We're keeping it simple. I think that's a lot of beauty. Make your focal point the important thing, and keep it all simple. Simple measurements. Whatever. I guess fussy cutting isn't quite as simple as you would think. All right, so this is going to go there, and we are going to stamp the Petunia Pop. Now here's another little hint for people who don't often use some of the bigger stamps. It's hard sometimes to go like this and ink it all up. The block is heavy. The stamp pad is lighter. So I like to, for my bigger stamps, keep it upside down and bring the ink pad to it. That way I can lightly tap all the way around, and I could see more easily that I've covered all the surface area. All right, so there we go. I'm going to stamp that there. And when it dries, it does get a little bit lighter, but look how pretty that looks. It's just a sketch, but it has some darker colors in the center and then some lighter ones in the outside. We're keeping this monochromatic, but of course this stamp set looks gorgeous. And if I have time, I'll show you today. Stamped in black and then colored in, or stamped. If you stamp with a lighter color, like basic beige or crumb cake, maybe stamped off, and then you color in with your blends, you're not going to see the lines quite as much. And that's called no line stamping or coloring. And it's going to look more like watercolor, like somebody just painted it, because you're not going to see the line so much. You're just going to see the color. So it's not going to be like a coloring book look, so to speak. I'm going to clean off my stamp. All right, and then while I have this ink out, I'm also going to stamp my sentiment, dear friend, that comes with the Spotlight in Nature. Dear friend, and thanks. Why I closed it up? Maybe just because I'm afraid of making a mess. I'm just going to stamp that because I'm going to fussy cut that out as well. Again, you don't have to. You can just stamp it on a strip. But I'm going to do that. Other sentiments that look nice, you know, you could use some that come with that do cut out the sentiment, if you like. All right, fussy cut time. All right, so actually, you know, it goes quicker than you think. Some people are like, oh, fussy cutting, oh my gosh, no. But you know what, that looks really pretty too. If you have just focal and you're putting that on a card, it just looks so beautiful, right? I mean, I would do this a little bit smaller, but I'll show you those options too. All right, so I'm just going to rough cut the sentiment out, and then I'm just going to kind of go around. And it always looks nicest if you keep your edges round, not have any points, because it's script and it has a lot of rounded edges, right? There we go. It's a little tricky toward the end. You sometimes want to use tweezers, but if you notice, like I said before, when you're fussy cutting, turn the paper. I haven't moved my scissors. They're in the same direction. I haven't gone like this and cut all around. I keep it right. Just move your paper. I call it steering the paper. So that looks cute, right? Okay, Cynthia has it. Okay, you enjoy fussy cutting, Lydia? Great. Okay, it's kind of relaxing. Kind of relaxing to me. All right, so I'm leaving just a tiny border. I'm just following the curve of the lines. I like to keep a good amount to hold on to on one side until I get to the end. Makes it easier to do that steering. Just going to steer it around. And then once you get to something like this, cut it out of the way of the scissors. When you're doing something like this, you can decide to get really detailed in between there, or you can just kind of cut around the whole thing. It all depends on your tolerance and your patience, of course, and what kind of look you want. Okay, it's easy getting those tips of the leaves, that's for sure. Those can be pointy. I'm going to go into here, but I'm not going to cut in between here. It's okay, especially because it's going to be overlaying white. If it was overlaying another color, it might look really weird that, okay, we can see past the leaves and in here, but not there. It would look a little silly. So especially if it's on white, don't worry about it. Let's cut those out of the way of the scissors. Get a rounded look. Okay, where it might not be quite so rounded, I'm going to go back and smooth it out. Okay, I'm going to cut in between there later. Get this first. Excuse me. Okay, same thing here. But if you didn't want to do that, that could work. Same thing here. I'll go back and do that detail later. Let me get that piece out of the way. All right. I will get in here a little bit. And the inner parts, like I said, don't have to be quite as meticulous. Don't have to go all the way down. See, it doesn't take too long. You want to be careful when you get to the end. Stems could be delicate. All right, now I'm going to go back and maybe round off any tiny points that I don't like. This leaf is a little too pointy. This one's a little pointy here. Easy to round it off. Okay, thanks, Joan. Glad you like it. All right, so you could have it like that. It's going to go over that circle. So do you see what I mean? How the white inner parts kind of get hidden on this white thing here, but if it's against this down here, it shows up the white. And so I am going to cut that part out there because it is extending past the white circle. And I think I would have done it anyway, but I just wanted to show you what I meant, what that looks like. This looks a little more professional without that. And I am going to cut a little bit in between here because I did it on the other side. I want it to look the same. But it's up to you. How much you feel like doing. If you don't want to do any of it, I'll show you another option too. Like I said, when I first saw this card, I was thinking, okay, good, we'll just die cut that. Wait a minute, that one doesn't have die cuts. Cheap fussy cut. Would be nice to have had a die cut. Okay, here we go. Right, beautiful. I love that sketchy look. And now, when I do that, we can see between the stems here, and it isn't a block of white cardstock. All right, we're going to use that. We can arrange it to the side, in the middle. I'm going to keep my circle in the middle. I'm going to push my flowers a little to the side. I'm going to have my sentiment over there. All right, you can decide which part of it you want to pop up with dimensionals. You got to have them in there someplace, right? How often do we do a card without any dimensionals at all? Not often. Not that you have to, but it kind of makes it nice. All right, and we're going to bring in a little white baker's twine, keeping them monochromatic. Going with white, we'll make a little bow. So I like to call this my bunny ears technique. So I take one end, make one bunny ear. I take another end, make another bunny ear, and then I just crisscross and tuck it through. Pull it tight, and then adjust the size of the loops. You always make them a little smaller because when you pull it, they'll get a little bit bigger, right? All right, we have that. Have separate fabric scissors because your paper scissors might not do the job as well because paper dulls scissors. Although my snips, I've been pretty good because they're really, really, really sharp. But I do keep separate fabric scissors for twine and whatnot. So I'll trim that how I want it, but I do want it a little bit more flowy. I have my sentiment over the strings that are hanging down as well if I want. So I think I am going to glue the flower down because I have so many small pieces, and I'm going to pop the circle up with the dimensionals. So let me decide exactly where everything will be. And this could even overlap the flowers a little bit. I could put that up with mini dimensionals if I want. Let's see how it looks. Let's see. Lots of options, right? All right, so I'm going to add bits of glue here. I just spread the dots of glue to the tips so that I don't have big globs of glue that are going to push out. Don't want stickiness on the front of my card. Okay, so remember I'm sticking this up on dimensional, so I really didn't have to put the glue way in the back of those flowers that are overhanging. I just wasn't thinking. It's okay because it'll just dry tacky and it's not going to make a big difference. I can always take my adhesive eraser to that later. Let's put dimensionals on the back and finish the embellishments. I think 4 will do here. Okay, hi Sandy. Hi Patty. Nice to see you. Patty's on my team. Okay. There we go. Put that right in the middle. Where should I put the bow? Put it down there, put that up there. No, I think I like that down there more. There's a little bit more space for it. And then I'll maybe just cut the bow. I'm going to put that with mini dimensionals. Pop it up again. Just literally stands out a little bit better. I like to use my pick tool for these guys. Now this is going to be kind of small, so I'm going to use my Blue for Glue scissors. One of my stamping friends that comes to Stamford gets a kick out of that. Yeah, the glue scissors. Yeah, you remember it, Blue for Glue. Okay. So I think that looks really nice with that friend sticking up. You get that shadowing behind it so that it really stands out against the white. And to attach these tiny things, I take my glue dots and I roll them up between my fingers so that they come a little smaller because they are about 1/4 inch around, which would be way too big for that little knot. So I just roll it off with my fingers, roll it into a little bit smaller ball, stick that knot right on there, and then you could stick it to your card. And I make sure I maneuver it so that my glue dot is completely covered. Otherwise, maybe your envelope might stick to it, or I don't know, something else that might go on there. And I'm just going to cut it just a little bit. They're pretty, right? So imagine that in all the different in colors. I'm not going to do them all for you today, like I said, but I started one in the Shy Shamrock. You wouldn't think flowers and shamrock. I mean, of course, the leaves are green, but these in colors just kind of work nicely that way. So here's what it would look like with the shamrock. Okay, Like I said, I started it. Now, I first started with a bigger circle, and you can do that too. And then I realized, well, no, this is the one that my model used, and I like that as well. But you can always do this too, so you get an idea what that would look like in the Shy Shamrock. Okay, and while I had those stamps out, what I did was I just stamped everything as I went along. So I did in the peach, I did it in the summer splash, and I did in the pretty in pink. Okay, so I have, well, this is the Shy Shamrock, right? If you didn't want to fussy cut it, you can just have stamped it on a thin piece. Now this isn't, I'm going to eventually fussy cut this, but I don't recommend cutting it by hand because you'll never get it perfectly straight. If you already have a strip of like a 1/2 inch strip, which is, they're all over the place, I would suggest cut your strip straight first, and then you can stamp it. Okay, but you know, if you didn't want to fussy cut it, you can always do something like that. Just have like a little banner, right? And like I said, if you didn't want to fussy cut, you can always just stamp this right onto that big circle. In this case, I would use the bigger circle so you get more of the flower. So I'm going to show you that. Here is the Shy Shamrock. Here we go. And I'm just going to get a different grid paper out here because I know the stamp is going to extend the circle, which is fine. So if I'm doing it this way, I can't really see exactly where I'm getting, and I did get a little on the edge there, so I'm going to be careful not to rock it. So you can stamp right on that bigger circle. Okay, all good. And if you wanted to, you can always blend in some colors there. One thing I like to do sometimes, especially with my bigger stamps, is stamp off first before I clean it on my pad, keep my chamois. It means there's less ink on my chamois. Don't have to clean it quite as often. So you can do that. And if you wanted to also, you could always just stamp the flowers and just cut the flowers out and layer them on top of those flowers there to give it a little bit more dimension with less fussy cutting. That's just another idea. So it would look more like this. Okay, those are there. And then, I mean, that's really pretty too, right? And we had the friend sentiment across there. Looks very nice. Put in your twine, and much more simple than fussy cutting, and it still looks lovely. So I'm going to do up other colors, and I'll post them later. I'll do up all the other in colors, the Peach Pie, Summer Splash, Pretty in Pink, and that way you can see them all in the in colors. All right. So thanks, Debbie. Glad you like that. Your wish list is growing, Mary. Oh, I know. So maybe here's what people do. If their wish list starts growing, they join as a demonstrator. Because let me just give you that brief offer that we have going on in May. When you join Stampin' Up, the typical offer is $99 for the starter kit, and you get $125 worth of product, which is nice. But this month, you would also get, in addition to the $125, you will also get all the in-color inks. You'll get the markers that coordinate. You'll get an assortment pack of the cardstock, and you will get the designer series paper, all in addition to that $125 of product that you pick yourself. Stampin' Up doesn't say, oh, you have to have this in your starter kit. they don't know what products you already have. So why should they say, oh, you need to, you're going to get a red ink pad and a summer splash and blah, blah, blah. Well, they don't know what you have and they don't know what you like to use. So it's all up to you. You get to pick all the product except for this collection of the in color package, the bundle. So that adds up to $82 worth of free stuff. Okay. For $99. Oh my gosh. it's just ridiculous. So that's the joint offer. And here's the, oh, I didn't show you the pretty pink in there. Okay. So when you join and you become a demonstrator, you get to save 20% on your orders. If you have customers, you get 20% commission on those orders. If your minimum, that's what people are worried about. Oh, how much do I have to spend? Your minimum is $300 a quarter. So a quarter is 3 months, right? So that could average to $100 a month. But with your 20% discount, you are only really paying 80% of that. So that adds up to $80 a month, but it just goes by the quarter. So $240 for a quarter. Many people will place an order that is over $100 or $150, and they're not getting everything that's included in the starter kit. So it's a great deal. If you have a big wish list, then that's something to consider. If you want to talk about it, contact me, email me, give me your phone numbers. And well, some of you already, if you're already a customer of mine, I have your phone numbers, but let me know if you want to talk about that. I'll give you all the details. It's a great offer. It's only good till the end of May. This is like the best offer Stampin' Up! Has given ever, I think. It's a lot of free product. So if at some point you don't meet your minimum, you go pending for a month to try to make up that deficit. And if you don't meet it, you're just dropped. There's no penalty. All right. So that's the other big thing. If you want to try it out, if you don't think it's for you, it's not working for you, then there's no penalty for stopping. They're not going to ask you for your product back. They're not going to charge you anything. So it's a great deal. Think about it, guys. All right. You only have a few more days, less than a week, right? So it's just something. Contact me if you want to talk about that. I'd love to have you on the Daisy team. Daisy bunch. So any questions? If you have any questions about that, you can type them here too. Birthday cards for nursing homes. Yes, Carol. Excellent. Yes. I mean, use any sentiment on there. Like I said, even dear friend could just be for anything. It could be a birthday card. It could be thinking of you. It could be get well. It could be, it could even be a sympathy, sorry for your loss, whatever. But yeah, great for nursing homes. Remember, there are men in nursing homes too, but you can do this a similar design with some other image in there as well, a sailboat or whatever you have, or just the leaves. How about that? You can do that with just the leaves. I was looking at this. I was thinking it would be fun to try it in, it's not an in color, but a new basic color is basic beige. And so I stamped that. When you first stamp it, it's going to look a little bit more green, believe it or not. But basic beige, I did the flower in that, and I'm going to try a similar thing like this in the basic beige. But what if we did those leaves in the beige? Let me stamp it and see what it looks like, right? Why not? I'll use one of these again. It's okay. All right, so let me show you what I mean. When you first stamp it, it's going to look sort of a greenish beige, but it lightens up to this. You'll see the difference. All right, so here's an opportunity for me to show you how I mount my stamps. If you haven't seen that yet, put the decals on is what I mean. Let me take this off. Okay, Lynn's been working with strips too. Oh, good. Post, definitely. So on my business page, guys, you can't create your own posts. because that's my business page, but you can put things in comments. So if I, have a post that says, oh, what have you done? Have you done this card or that card? Or, post it a place where you think it's appropriate. That's all good. All right. So what I do, Stampin' Up! Directions on your stamp case tells you to take these top layers off and then bring your stamp to the decal. I like to do it this way. I like to peel the whole decal off, put it on my block. Oh, didn't mean to bang it that hard. Put it on my block like this. And then where the split is, you can just peel that off. I used to have the toughest time trying to get these on straight. Okay, these are, the rubber is perforated on the back here. And then there's a layer that you peel off here because it keeps this clean during shipping, whatever. Then I flip this over and now I can see exactly where my decal is going onto the back of my stamp. So I just hover and I adjust as I get closer and closer. I adjust it until I get so close that I can see I'm perfect, and then just lightly lower it down and it's all good. Okay, perfect. You've lined it up. So like I said, what Stampin' Up! The directions say to do is just peel off the backing, leave the decal there, take your stamp and hover over here. Now my problem was that I'd get shadows and I couldn't exactly see where that was. I love doing it this way, and it's a lot quicker. So let's see about maybe stamping this in Basic Beige. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stamp it once, and then without re-inking, I'm going to stamp it again so I get two images. And although this is big, it does fit the ink pad, so I can ink it up this way. I'm going to stamp once, and then turn it and lower it just a little bit. Okay, well, that didn't come out too much. It came out really light, but it's okay. You can see, look how it looks more green. You see that? But it will dry to this. So if you first use it, don't get too scared that that's not the color you were looking for. All right, so maybe what I'll try to do is maybe just, maybe I could stamp another one over there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's see what we could do with it. Now, I don't have that designer paper in this color, but there are some other designer papers that have that color in it. Let's see. Well, Smoky Slate could work with that too, right? Let's see, the Country Lace. Oh, okay, here we go. Country Lace has this kind of a denim look, but in the beige. So that could certainly work. So I'll do up a card with that. And that might be similar to something like this, and we'll see how it works. Okay, instead of a circle, maybe I'll make it a square. So just kind of you take elements that work for you and then change up what you need to based on what you have or what you like better. So nice and easy there. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Lynn, I like how you're speaking to Nadine. You've seen her on here before. And Nadine, goodbye. Take care. Have a great day, everybody. A great weekend. Good holiday weekend. Be safe. And just enjoy time. And remember those who have served our country and have given their lives for our freedoms and our rights that we have had for many years now. So anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and see you next time. Hey, bye-bye. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Have a good one. Take care now. Bye-bye.